Oh my god. I am resident of Collinwood for YouTube Visual Science. It's my buddy Patrick McCray. It's my buddy Butch Rosenbalm. We're here to discuss the 1998 film, The Avengers. Uma Thurman. Sean Connery is going to play your heel here. He's going to play your villain. Uh, First of all, I usually ask you guys when you first saw this, what did you guys think of dual Uma Thurmans in this movie?
It's
Double your pleasure.
It's Tuma.
Tuma.
It's not just Uma. It's Tuma.
Tuma.
It's not a Tuma. Hang on. Yeah, answer the door, friend of mine.
It if one Uma Thurman is good, two Uma Thurmans is even better.
I like how they did it. It was really smart. They kept you in suspense of what was going on. And what doesn't get talked enough about this film, I think, is its choreography. Its fight choreography is really well done. Not just between the two, Umas, but when Uma has to fight that man on the wire, really, really good. Patrick, what did you think of the two Umas?
I thought it was too much Uma for one movie, and yet I swung with it. It was great. It was fine. Honestly, I saw this movie when it came out, and I'd been to the big metal building in London, and I remember the bear suits, and that's where I'm at. And it sort of had dialogue like a Gilmore Girls episode gone wrong. So in other words, like a Gilmore Girls episode.
Did you not see this, Patrick?
What?
Were you?
I don't know, Butch. I don't know. I'm just seeing you. Did you hold something up? Are you talking about the movie?
No. Yeah. Did you not go see Avengers 2? I remember
No,
me.
I saw the. This is before we met.
For some reason, I was
This
thinking
was
you were
98. No, I did see it at Easttown Mall. That's all I got.
No idea where I saw it.
Yeah.
I saw this at the Uniontown Walk-In Theater, but it's not there anymore, bastards. And it's not, unfortunately. Now, this movie was there in 1998. I enjoyed the hell out of it watching it. My mom let me go see this all by myself. Good times.
You'll pay for that.
Yes. Here's the Connery as a villain. I mean, this is very late in his career, obviously, but what did you guys think of Sean Connery as a heel? Butch?
I loved it. He chews so much sceneries, especially in that scene in the meeting. The weather is no longer in God's hands, but in mine. And there's a line right after where he's like, "Oh,
exactly."
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy. Sean Connery could have probably had, not that he really needed a career revitalization, but he could have had a second, third, fourth, whatever career as a bad guy. He would have made the best bad guy ever. I kept hoping they would make him they would talk him into doing a Bond film as the bad guy, which would, let's just print money for that one.
Yeah. Patrick, what did you think of Sean Connery as a villain here? Playing a villain.
I thought he was fine. I mean, his characters always have a lot of darkness to them. So they're villains to somebody in the movie. In this case, they're just villains to the heroes. It fit his sort of eccentric and crabby nature, I think, at this point. Not everything could be Finding Forrester, so that's, we work with what we have. I thought he was fine. I think the movie, at least the cut of the movie, and that's an important thing to talk about. The cut of the movie that we're dealing with kind of relies on Connery, a villain, as a gimmick, because he does a lot of ranting and raving in the film, but not as much. That's a Marshall joke. Sort of stuff that a little more substance. I think, this is a franchise, and he's an actor who could have turned in the villain equivalent of his turn in Untouchables. And I think he was sort of denied that. The weird thing to talk about, I don't know a lot about it except that it sort of exists, is the dueling cuts of this movie, because Warner Brothers did what it loves to do, which is order arbitrary cuts. Like, you don't like a movie, just order it cut. And so there's a healthy chunk of this movie that's missing. And it's one of the reasons why it doesn't always make as much sense as it could. And they relied on, oh, it's whimsical, it's English, to sort of, pass that off. But the original plot was a little tighter, even though there was more stuff to it.
Yeah. For those wondering what Patrick's talking about, Warner Brothers, the film's distributor, there's a lot to get to here, that refused to allow any early press screenings for movie reviewers. Such a decision is often made when a studio and or distributor knows a film will not be received well, and pre-release reviews would only be negative. The film was originally scheduled to open early in June 1998, but was pushed back until August, often referred to as the dumping ground for films that are not felt to be strong enough. Okay, but there is what Patrick is. Due to the initial wrangling at Warner Brothers, the decision was made to vastly cut down the running time after test screening, reducing the 115-minute film to 89 minutes. Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
Hold on. It gets worse.
Yeah.
According to the screenwriter, it was a 140-minute version.
Damn.
So you've almost cut it in half.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. They would have done better to have released 2 movies.
Yeah, that would have made sense. I will say though, I know this movie wasn't received well, but for all of Warner Brothers wrangling and shit they do, you get it. I mean, you get the film. It's not hard to understand or follow. I think where Sean Connery really nails you as the villain is really he's so easy to paint as a heel. I mean, when he's in that room with all those people dressed as bears or animals, and he kills those 2 guys, and it's like, oh damn, it's like, it's on. And his duel scene with Ray of Fiennes at the end is really well done. It would have been really cool if they'd had a cliffhanger where somehow Sean Connery went into the water and lived instead of being blasted with a bolt of lightning. But I love the lightning sequence. So the weather being used against humanity, somebody controlling weather, was a neat concept. You're gonna see like a couple years. You're gonna see it some years later in a little movie called X-Men with a character called Storm. But here, there's no superheroes, there's no supervillains. You just have a madman who was really, really smart scientist, he's playing an evil genius in every way. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, in a comic book sense, it works. Sure.
Yeah.
And the British Avengers, since it works, I swear I think there's an episode of the TV series where somebody can or tries to control the weather. So I think part of that some of the people have problems with it is they try to make it very British. I think they fail. But one thing I kept reading a lot of reviews of it, and they were talking about how hard it was to understand. I'm like, I thought it was pretty simple. I don't know. Maybe I missed something, or maybe I just grabbed
it's
something
straightforward. Evil genius with weather machine tries to rule the world, kind of plot. Which I think the G.I. Joe pilot had. Wasn't it the heart machine? Same basic idea.
When I saw this movie in theater coming out, I was talking to somebody on that, and they said, okay, the thing that confused them was, okay, the two Uma Thurmans. How are you supposed to tell them apart? I said, well, here's the thing. I said, you never hear the Uma Thurman clone really talk. That so
True.
I'm just assuming that the reason it wasn't a perfect clone is because they couldn't get her to talk. And as simple-minded as that sounds, it works because, frankly, she's scarier not talking. I don't need her to talk because she's killing people.
I'm sure the screenplay explains it. The actual uncut screenplay.
Yeah, I think it worked. Like, in my opinion, it works because here's this woman who is innocent of something, but she can't explain what's going on. So, and when you see her in this, like the OG Uma character, what you need?
I wasn't.
Sorry.
This sign because I set my phone down so I can't really.
Oh, when she's laying there and he's talking to her, it's like, at first you're thinking, is she under some sort of mind control? And that was my initial thought when I first saw it. And then watching the rest of the film, it's like, okay, I thought initially they would do a switcheroo of the Uma Thurmans and have the clone Uma talk. They didn't. I'm glad they didn't. Because I love the action sequences in this movie. I love the killer robot.
I would have had her speak with the. I would have had her speak like Ben Sisko. She would sound like I would have Brock Peters provide the voice.
Yeah,
but that would have been my only contribution.
What you guys think of the killer robots in this movie where they're chasing the car down?
Were those the drones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was an early use of drones. It was impressive.
And early CGI, which seems much very obvious now.
Yeah.
It was impressive at the time.
Oh yeah. Backtrack just a second, Joel. You were saying the people you were talking to had trouble telling which Uma or which Emma Peel it was. That was part of the story. You weren't supposed to know.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, that's another thing I said. You're not supposed to, but if you're paying attention to the movie, you realize, hey, the clone Uma doesn't talk. And as simple as that sounds, you have to pay attention. Minor details in certain movies matter, and especially with this movie. That's what makes it so unique. Though Warner Brothers cut the shit out of it, I can't say they made me not like them. They didn't make me hate this movie. I wish they would.
The movie is good enough. It kind of transcends that.
Yeah, it does. It's the action is good, and you're right. The CGI, you can tell it's CGI. There are some films.
26 years later, 26 years old. So
yeah. Now you want to see bad CGI? Watch Halloween. Watch Halloween H2O. You'll see bad CGI with the mask. That's awful. That's awful. That's and it's weird.
Joel, I haven't heard you laugh like that since you had me tied to that ping pong table the first time. Keep going.
Well, you were so happy when you were tied to the ping pong table. Anyway,
I couldn't hurt myself. At last, relief.
Also,
sorry. Here's my question for you guys. Ray Fiennes in this movie, he is so good. Was there ever an approach for him to maybe play Bond one day?
It's been talked about a number of times, I think. But I mean, pretty much if you're white, British, and have a good haircut, you have a conversation with someone at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe not about Bond, but someone will talk to you.
Yeah.
Eventually.
About the weather or something.
He eventually does play M later on with Daniel Craig's James Bond.
Yeah, very Scooby Gang M. He really rolls up his sleeves and goes, running around the way Bernard Lee never would have.
Yeah. Yeah. What, in you guys' opinion, what's your favorite Ray Fiennes movie?
Oh, Schindler's List.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you tell me these sidebars, I'm like, I want to pull my phone and start going, okay, Ray Fiennes movie. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, Schindler's List is a great movie. I enjoy him in this a lot. I really thought he came into his own as an action star in this movie. Uma Thurman had already been in Pulp Fiction and stuff, so like I knew she could act, you know. The fact
But
she
you didn't
gets,
know she was beautiful. That's the crazy part.
I knew she was beautiful looking. Like anybody who could pull off that short of hair, you know, you're good looking.
Yeah, she kind of had a
But
rugged Clint Eastwood quality.
yeah.
I'm just kidding, Joel. Joel, I'm just making stuff up. I don't dance. This is it.
Oh my god. But I did enjoy how each of them got time with Connery, each character, and both of them. It's Sean Connery. Sean Connery did a really good job of, and I do wonder how giving he was, because it does seem like he was very giving to both of them.
He was very giving, but there was a fight between Uma Thurman and Ray Fiennes that's worth talking about, because Connery, he did have time for both of them, but he couldn't be at both malls at once. And so later, Ray Fiennes was told that was actually one of Connery's elves that he talked to.
Oh my god!
No,
what's you guys' favorite scene in this movie?
the business sequence where they're all in the bear suits talking very seriously. I think that's pretty good.
That is a good one. One of my favorites, I don't know if it's but one of my favorites is when after the drone animals attack and they come across this older English lady. Imagine that in England. And she's like, "Would you be so kind as to hit the ground?" And they both throw. And she just pulls out this Tommy gun and starts blasting. And it's just so. Love that scene. I so wish. Scene. I so wish that Dame Diana Rigg would have played that role. That was apparently the role she was offered. I would have loved to have seen her do that.
If John Gielgud had ever done had done an action scene, it would have looked exactly the same. manly fellow he was.
My favorite scene is the balloon scene. They're fighting in the balloon. Great scene. They show this night, the weather. They do all sorts of, and all the stuff they do effect wise with the weather is really cool in this movie.
It's gotta be.
It does. This movie has great stakes for an action spy movie in every way. Doesn't get enough credit for being a good late 90s movie and a good late 90s action movie. It's sort of, I'd say it's as underrated as the Phantom, where the Phantom got very underrated because of Mission Impossible. I'd say this movie got underrated as well.
Yeah, you're probably right.
You know.
Cool.
Yeah. Yes.
Have you ever seen any of the Avengers TV show?
I've seen 2 episodes. That's it.
It's a good show.
I haven't seen much of it. And what drew me to the movie, though, was the 2 episodes I watched. So I knew what it was. And they're like, that's because my cousin made fun of me. He goes, that's not the Marvel's Avengers. I said, yeah, I know. I've seen the show. I've watched the Avengers show. Oh, it's a British show. I'm like, so?
Did he have a problem with that?
Like, who cares? Like, what do you?
I care. I care about your brother's immortal soul.
It's like what are you complaining about? I'm not asking you to see it with me. I'm gonna go see it by myself. And it was entertaining as hell. It's like, and my mom's like, "Did you like it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I loved it. It was really good." Connery just really, again, three great actors, or two great actors, a great actress. And I love the plot twist we get in this movie. We don't just get a bad Uma Thurman character, an evil Uma. We get that somebody inside the company is betraying them, the Avenger company, if you will. What did you guys think of? What's that?
The Ministry. Someone inside the Ministry. Let's go.
Ministry. No, I didn't know. What did you guys think of the plot twist?
I mean, they were fine. I saw most of it coming. I mean, I'm not a genius or anything, but this is not a movie that was intended to stump Mensa. You know, it's the Avengers movie, but that doesn't make it bad. It's a fine film.
Yeah, I agree. It seemed like it was, I don't know, maybe not obvious, but it was like, something's going to happen. Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Man, it does lead you to wonder with what's going on, because it's like, how is Connor's character staying a step ahead of them? He is smart, but it's like you realize, okay, somebody has to be on the inside, and then you find out who. I think the reveal is good. It's not the greatest reveal in the history of movies, but it's good enough. It works.
Yeah,
I would agree.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you got? Is there anything you guys want to add about the movie?
it's a solid film. I have tried rewatching it, and it works better the first time. I think it's a movie that really benefits from the element of surprise. For me.
It I think, of course, letting go of this movie being cut to pieces. There's two problems with the film that we get, and maybe I'm wrong about the first one, but the first thing I'm going to mention is the Avengers TV show is uniquely British. You've got Patrick Macnee and Dame Diana Rigg and Honor Blackman and all the actors are very British.
Man.
And this movie is not. It's like somebody's trying to do very British Americans. And I mean, it's not horrible, but I feel like, okay, this was quirky. The show was quirky. This is quirky too. Like,
it's trying very hard.
It is. That's why I don't want to kick it to the curb. But by the same token, it's like, you're close. I'll give you that. You were close. I mean, the snappy dialogue between Uma and Ray Fiennes, I love that dialogue. The kind of very Howard Hawksian, back and forth, boom, 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 boom. But also, most times I feel like they were kind of talking each over a little bit, and it's like, I think, and I hate to say this, I don't feel like they've got chemistry together. It just
no, they don't
work. I mean, it's two good actors, and they give it the good old college try. That's my second point. Is I just feel like they didn't have a whole lot of chemistry together, and it's. Joel said that there was three great actors in this film, and there are, and you've got to nail all three of those roles. Makes me think of Watchmen. I'll give Zack Snyder this. He got two of the roles in Watchmen right, and he failed on Ozymandias. But this film gets all three roles right. I mean, could other people have done these roles? Sure. It's not like I can't imagine anyone other than Ray Fiennes playing John Steed, or I can't anyone other than Uma Thurman playing Emma Peel. They both do a good job. I'm not knocking them. It's just ultimately this film. I enjoy it. I've watched it again. It's not like, oh my god, I got to watch the Avengers. Sometimes it's like, I haven't watched that in a while, and usually I don't pick it up. It's just it's missing something. It kind of makes me think of Joe. We did Rio Lobo a few weeks ago. It kind of reminds me of Rio Lobo. Is this a bad film? I don't think so. Is it a good film? That's up to you. It has its flaws, and some of them were inflicted by Warner Brothers. So
it's not. I'll say this because you guys both know I'm a huge Halloween fan. I like Halloween H2O, but I feel that film has flaw issues because it initially they were going to tie 1 through 6 together. They don't. They time jump. They just talk about the first 2 movies, and in the same sense of they were going to CGI Dr. Sam Loomis. I talked about The Mask. If you chose not to CGI Dr. Sam Loomis, why on God's green earth, whoever made the decision to CGI that mask should have been fired instantly because it didn't look good. It looked out of place. It was ridiculous. The film is suspenseful, but this film for the movie we're talking about, the Avengers, 26 years later, it's CGI. Yeah, you can tell. It still looks good. This film is. Some people might say this movie's bad. It might not be as bad as you remember. We talked about that with Rio Lobo, right? It wasn't as bad as we remember. This movie is pretty good. It's not perfect, God no, but it's an entertaining movie that'll entertain you.
I agree. That's a good assessment of it.
Yeah.
I'd probably, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it a 6. I'll give it a 6.
that's what I rated it on IMDb when I was looking at trivia for this. It'll pop up and go, "What would you give the Avengers?" I'm like, 6.
Yeah. I'd give it a 6 1/4, simply because I only ever saw 2 episodes of the Avengers, and it drove me to want to see this movie. And you're right, Americans try to make a British movie. You're right, but Ralph Fiennes, Uma Thurman do a good job despite their lack of chemistry. You're right. I do think at times you're right, Butch. It feels like they're talking over, but their snappy dialogue does make the movie go really well with the action. I think that's what makes this movie work that well.
I agree.
I'm with you. Is there anything you guys want to add before we get?
No, I think we've covered this pretty well.
Patrick, do you need me to send you something Wicked comes?
Oh, I definitely do, but I can see the movie on my own also.
I will send it. I will send it to you anyway, because I love you to death, both of you guys. Gentlemen, enjoy the rest. Links to Patrick McCray's Dark Shadows Day book come out. It's going to be description. Gentlemen, enjoy the rest of your weekend. God bless.
See you guys.
Bye.